Wysteria, energy, twister. Hello everyone, welcome back to the fairies of Britanny. We are on a goddess of eld. In the depths of Lake Tegid is her own Wales dwelt Ceridwen, a fertility goddess who possessed a magic cauldron, the sure symbol of a deity of abundance, like Demeter. She was strangely associated with the harmless necessary sow, badge of many earth mothers, and itself typical of fertility. Like Ceridwen, the corrigan is associated with water, with the element which makes for vegetable growth. Christian belief would, of course, transform this discredited goddess into an evil being whose one function was to destroy souls. May we see a relation of the corrigan and Ceridwen in Tridwan, or Saint Tridwana of Wysteria near Edinburgh, who presided over a certain well there, and at whose well shrine offerings were made by sightless pilgrims for many centuries. Many are the traditions which tell of human infants abducted by the corrigan, who at times left an ugly changeling in its place. The changelings, by the way, are when a fairy takes a human child and replaces it with a fairy child. That's called a changeling. But it was more as an enchantress that she was dreaded. By a stroke of her magic wand she could transform the leafy fastness in which she dwelt into the semblance of a lordly hall, which the luckless traveller whom she lured thither would regard as a paradise after the dark thickets in which he had been wandering. This seeming castle or palace was furnished with everything that could delight the eye, and as the doomed wretch sat ravished by her beauty, that of her 9 attendant maidens, a fatal passion for her entered his heart, so that whatever he cherished most on earth, honour, wife, and demoiselle, or affianced bride, became as naught to him, and he cast himself at the feet of this forest Circe in a frenzy of adore. But with the first ray of daylight, the charm was dissolved, and the corrigan became an hideous hag, as she began to change before his eyes. As repulsive as before, she had been lovely. The walls of the palace and the magnificence which had furnished it became once more tree and thicket, its carpets moss, its tapestries leaves, its silver cups wild roses, and its dazzling mirrors pools of nothing but stagnant water. The Unbroken Vow. Sir Roland of Britanny rides through gloomy Broceliande, a league ahead of his troop, unattended by squire or by page. The red cross upon his shoulder is witness that he is vowed to service in Palestine, and as he passes through the leafy avenues on his way to the rendezvous, he faces and fears that he will be late. And most tardy of all, the knights of Britanny, who have sworn to drive the Paynim from the Holy Land. Fearful of such disgrace, he spurs his jaded charger on through the haunted forest, and with anxious eye watches the sun sink, and the gay white moon still high above the tree-tops, pouring light through their branches upon the mossy ways below. A high vow has Roland taken ere setting out upon the crusade, a vow that he will eschew the company of fair ladies, in which none had delighted more than he. No more must he mingle in the dance, no more must he press a maiden's lips with his. He has become a soldier of the cross. He may not touch a lady's hand, save with his mailed glove. He must not sit by her side. Also must he fast from dusk till dawn upon the night of his setting forth. Small risk. He laughs a little sadly as he spurs his charger onward. Small risk that I may, man sworn, ere morning light. But the setting of the moon tells him that he must rest in the forest until dawn, as without her beams he can no longer pursue his way. So he dismounts from his steed, tethers it to a tree, and looks about for a bed of moss on which to repose. As he does so, his wandering gaze fixes upon a beam of light, piercing the gloom of the forest. Well aware of the traditions of his country, he thinks at first that it is only the glimmer of a will-o'-the-wisp, or a light carried by a wandering elf. But no, on moving nearer the gleam, he is surprised to behold a row of windows, brilliantly lit, as if for a festival. Now, by my vow, says Roland, methought I knew well every chateau in this land of Britanny, nor wist I that Signor or Count held court in this forest. Resolved to view the chateau at still closer quarters, he draws near it. A great court fronts him, where neither groom nor porter keeps guard, and within he can see a fair hall. He enters, and immediately his ears are ravished by music which wanders through the chamber like a sighing zephyr. The murmur of rich viols and the call of flutes, soft as distant bird songs, speak to his very soul. Yet through the ecstasy comes, like a serpent gliding among flowers, the discord of evil thoughts. Grasping his rosary, he is about to retire, when the doors at the end of the hall fly open, and he beholds a rapturous vision. Upon a couch of velvet sits a lady of such dazzling beauty that all other women compared with her would seem a kitchen wretches. A mantle of rich golden arrow, it falls about her. Her eyes shine with the brightness of stars. Her smile seems heavenly. Round her are grouped the 9 maidens, only less beautiful than herself. As the moon moving among attendant stars, so the lady comes toward Roland, accompanied by her maidens. She welcomes him and would remove his gauntlet, but he tells her of the vow he has made to wear it in lady's bower, and she is silent. Next she asks him to seat himself beside her on the couch, but he will not. In some confusion, she orders repast to be brought. A table is spread with fragrant viands, but as the knight will partake of none of them, in chagrin the lady takes a lute, which she touches with exquisite skill. He listens unmoved, till, casting away her instrument, she dances to him, circling around and round about him, flitting about the chair like a butterfly, until at length she sinks down near him and lays her head upon his mailed bosom. Upward she turns her face to him, all passion flushed, her eyes brimming with love. Sir Roland falters. Fascinated by her unearthly beauty, he is about to stoop down to press his lips to hers, but as he bends his head, she shrinks from him, for she sees the tender flush of morning above the eastern tree-tops. The living stars faint and fail, and the music of awakening life which accompanies the rising of the young sun falls upon the ear. Slowly, the chateau undergoes transformation. The glittering roof merges into the blue vast of heaven. The tapestried walls become the ivied screens of great forest trees. The princely furnishings are transformed into mossy banks and mounds, and the rugs and carpets beneath Roland's mailed feet are now merged in the forest ways. But the lady, Sir Roland, glancing down, beholds a hag hideous as sin, whose malicious and distorted countenance betrays baffled hate and rage. At the sound of a bugle she hurries away, with a discordant shriek. Into the glade ride Roland's men, to see their lord clasping his rosary and kneeling in thanksgiving for his deliverance from the evils which beset him. He had been saved from breaking his vow. The 9 attendant maidens of Corrigan bring to mind a passage in Pomponius Mela, Senna, Li Isle de Seine, not far from Brest, in the British Sea. Yes, British Sea. Opposite the Officemisian coast, is remarkable for an oracle of the Gaelic god. Its priestesses, holy in perpetual virginity, are said to be 9 in number. They are called Galicinae, and are thought to be endowed with singular powers. By their charms, they are able to raise the winds and seas, to turn themselves into whatever animals they will, to cure wounds and diseases, incurable by others, to know and predict the future. But this they do only for navigators, who go thither purposely to consult them, like the sylphs and salamanders, so humorously described by, obviously, if you know the man, Abbé de Villiers in Les Contes de Gabelis. The Corrigans desired union with humanity, in order they might thus gain immortality. Such, at least, is the current peasant belief in Brittany. For this, and they violate all the laws of modesty. This belief is common to all lands, and is typical of the Fae. The Lorelei, countless well and water spirits, and the Enchantress, who rode off with Thomas the Rhymer. For if you dare to kiss my lips, sure of your body I shall be. Unlike the courtier Roland, true Thomas dared, and was wafted to a realm wondrously described by the old balladeer in the vivid phrase that marks the poetry of vision. The end. And that is a very interesting story from the fairies of Brittany. Whether true or not, doesn't matter. It's still quite astounding to think of. Thank you for listening, and many blessings.
Wysteria. Energy. Twister.